The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday. File 40, The Ashbourne Inheritance. Being born into money has meant that Rosalind has never had to work. Even at school, she'd realised that being paid for your time was not something that she would ever need to get used to. Her mother's family is the one that's wealthy. The Ashbourne family had become rich 5 generations ago, when Rosalind's 3 times great-grandfather had started the British Orient Trading Company to bring cotton and fur from Asia to the booming middle classes of the United Kingdom. Now that she's 21, she is free to live her life as she wants, free from the limitations of the family trust that put restrictions on her until her birthday 2 months ago. On that day, she had inherited 1/4 of the Ashbourne capital, an equal share with her mother, Darcy, and her 2 brothers. Her father had died when she was 16 in a boating accident off the coast of Malta in his ocean-going yacht, also called Rosalind. He had never told her that the boat was named after her, but she's sure it was. As she steers around the corner of the country lane, the sun travels across the bodywork of her sports car that she had resprayed to match her blue eyes. She reaches out for her sunglasses, and the tractor hasn't hurt her. Her car hits the farm vehicle, and the only sound is metal on metal for exactly 2 seconds. Then, silence. The tractor driver scrambles out and runs around to the sports car. He calls 999 on his phone for an ambulance, and then tries to prise open the front door to help the woman inside. But the door is buckled, and he runs back to get something from his tool bag in the tractor to get the thing open. He returns and manages to get the end of a metal bar into the door, and he leaves it open until the whole thing comes away from the frame. He leans inside to check her. Her eyes are closed, and he's not sure if he should move her or not. He tries to find a pulse on her wrist, but can't. After 5 minutes, he hears the ambulance siren in the distance as it gets closer. 3 identical black Rolls-Royce Phantoms turn off Market Street in the centre of the town and follow the hearse up the broad path to the western doors of Winchester Cathedral. The family step out in the morning light and wait while the funeral directors open up the back of their vehicle and lift Rosalind's coffin onto their shoulders. There are only 3 people behind the coffin in the procession as it moves in through the doors and into the 500 feet of the cathedral's nave. Darcy Caldwell, who has taken to calling herself Darcy Ashbourne again, since becoming a widow 5 years ago, is tall. She has the blue eyes of her daughter, and her blonde hair is worn loose over her Dolce & Gabbana black suit. She is holding the arm of her younger son Jasper, who is the closest to his mother. He has light brown hair and dark brown eyes, like his father. The elder son Sebastian walks behind them, with the colouring of his mother and late sister. This is the first time that Sebastian has seen his mother for a year, after he moved to London to spend his money and live the life that he was born to as a moneyed young man. Sitting in the first 3 rows of seats nearest the altar are an array of Ashbourne relatives, and a sprinkling of 21-year-old friends from Rosalind's school days. At the end of the front row and slightly apart from everyone else are Jasper's girlfriend, Lottie, and Rosalind's boyfriend, David. Due to Darcy's connections in the county, it's the Bishop of Winchester who is officiating at the service. An hour later, to the sounds of a choir singing Jerusalem, the coffin is carried back up the nave and out to the waiting cars. It's a 25-minute drive out to the Ashbourne Estate at Hinton Ampner, and the family gather around a plot in the heat of the summer graveyard, near the 13th century stone All Saints' Church, and lay their sister and daughter to rest. The next morning at 9, Olivia Street descends in the lift to the parking garage beneath her flat near Tower Bridge, and she drops into her red MG Midget. Poppy opens the front passenger door and gets in beside her mother. Given her daughter's law course at university, Olivia suggested that Poppy shadows her on some of her legal cases over the summer to give the girl more experience and to spend more time together. As they roll up to road level and start their journey through the London traffic, Poppy wants to know more about where they're going. "So you know this man, Sebastian Caldwell, because he works in an events company that you did some legal work for a year ago. Is that right?" she says. "He owns the company, Caldwell PR, says Olivia. "Rich boy. The whole thing is funded by him. But he's relatively normal, in fact, not too affected by his upbringing." "And what is the thing we're going to do today?" "Sebastian's sister was killed 3 weeks ago. She was 21. Poppy screws up her nose. "Oh, that's sad." "An accident on a country road, yes. A tragedy at any age, but it always feels worse when people die young." "What are we going to do when we get there?" Sebastian wouldn't go into details, but he said it's very important to him, and asked that we drive down to his family home near Winchester today. He called me last night. They only buried her yesterday, so we need to tread lightly, as he and his family, who are all staying in the house, will all still be affected by Rosalind's death. It takes them an hour to get out of London's traffic, then another hour to push west through Surrey and into Hampshire. They turn off the main Petersfield Road and down a narrow lane until they reach the driveway to the estate. Hinton Ampner is red brick and 2-story. It has white Georgian windows spaced along it with ivy obliterating the two ends of the frontage, and tall Victorian chimneys jutting up into the sky. There's a circular gravel drive at the entrance, and Olivia pulls over and parks the MG off the road to one side. Today is hot, and the sun ripples across the land and the house before them, as the mother and daughter walk up to a vast white portico surrounding the front door. A man in his 40s wearing black and white answers the ring on the doorbell, and Olivia relates who they are. They are shown inside and offered seats in a marble and gold hallway. The man disappears into the house, and 5 minutes later Sebastian walks in through double doors placed centrally in the main wall. "Thank you for coming, Olivia," he says. He offers his hand and she introduces Poppy. They walk through old rooms, one with deep red flock wallpaper and another lined with bookcases. Sebastian leads them out to the rear of the house that has views of rolling lawns set in 18 acres of formal and informal gardens within 1,000 acres of estate beyond. "It's beautiful," says Poppy. "My grandfather was the one who did all this. He loved the place." "How is everyone after yesterday?" says Olivia. "Quiet," says Sebastian. "It's affected our mother badly, unsurprisingly. We'll all stay here with her for as long as it takes." The man wearing black and white appears with a silver tray that has a glass jug of cloudy liquid on it, and 3 glasses. He places them down on a long dining table set on a patio near the house. "Thank you, Michael," says Sebastian. "Grandfather's lemonade, made with lemons from the greenhouses down in the lower garden." He pours out the drink into glasses and offers them out. "You asked us to come down, Sebastian," says Olivia. "How can we help you?" "Rosalind died 3 weeks ago," he begins. "On the face of it, an ordinary road accident. She was probably speeding and hit the tractor head-on. Died at the scene." The women drink as they listen. "I don't think it was an accident," he says, and he looks at each of them for something in their faces. "Tell us what you're thinking," says Olivia. "Rosalind was 21 2 months ago. According to the family trust, that's when we 3 kids each inherited our 25% of the estate. It was held in trust until then. She was the youngest, so the estate is all allocated now. I take it she didn't have a will, given her age. Not a will, but we each signed an agreement as a condition of the inheritance. And what is that agreement? She said. It's a statement of what happens to the money in the event of one of our deaths. And do you know what it says? Not her version. He says. Each beneficiary has a personalised one. I've got mine. The man who runs the family trust, Sir John Cairns, has a copy of Rosalind's, and he's arranging for it to be read. Can I see your agreement? Says Olivia. Sure, 2 seconds. Sebastian leaves them for 5 minutes and returns with 2 sets of papers. This is my agreement, and this second document is the family trust deeds. It's got all the responsibilities and procedures there in it. He hands them both to Olivia. Can I ask a question? Says Poppy, and Sebastian smiles at her. If Rosalind received the last quarter of the estate, what does the family trust do now? Is it redundant? On the day after Rosalind signed the agreement, yes, the trust officially went into abeyance, all the monies it had looked after and invested having been transferred to Mother and us 3 kids. There's one clause in the agreement that brings the trust out of abeyance. Let me guess, says Olivia. It rises again to oversee the redistribution of the money on the death of any of the beneficiaries? That's right. And is Sir John Cairns the sole trustee? Says Olivia. He and Mother. That's 2 people, she says. What happens in the event of a disagreement? It's never happened. The trust was first started by Edward Ashbourne in 1890, the man who made all the money. It oversees the transfer of money into each next generation. Did your late father receive any money from the trust when he married your mother? Says Olivia. You told me once that he died a few years ago. No, it has nothing to do with father. He couldn't inherit the Ashbourne Estate. It came down my mother's family line, and it will stay in her family line. So, says Poppy, why do you think Rosalind's death wasn't an accident? Too convenient, says Sebastian. Just after she inherited. We'll need more than that, says Olivia. Do you have evidence? Suspicious behaviour from anyone? My brother Jasper. His face looks more serious suddenly in the sunlight. Did he say something to you? We don't really get on, he says. He stayed here. I left home to seek my fortune in London. Haven't you already got a fortune? Says Poppy, her eyes quizzical. Yes, I guess I have. I should have said to seek a bigger fortune then, to use my money to grow a business. Be my own man, not just another ex-private schoolboy in the clubs and restaurants in town, making sure that people see you spending it. What did your brother say to you? That Rosalind didn't deserve the money? As though he was better than her? Says Sebastian. He's close to Mother. He's always there with her, agreeing with her. If there's an argument, he takes her side. He's got a girlfriend, Lottie, who moved in here a few months ago. I don't trust her either. But before you say it, no, I haven't got any evidence. We can talk to them, says Olivia. Explore if there's more to be discovered. Anyone else who's part of the community here? Sir John Cairns has a daughter, Esme. She's close to Jasper. All right, says Olivia. She looks at Poppy. We'll both go and casually chat. We'll say we're friends of Sebastian in London and have come down to support him while he's here in the country. I did see Lottie walking down in the lower garden, he says. Let me read these papers. Then maybe you and I, Sebastian, could go and find Jasper. Poppy, do you want to go and find Lottie? See what makes her tick. Olivia sits to read while Sebastian disappears into the house, and Poppy walks down the sloping lawn to the gardens. Lottie is sitting on the grass by a pond that is near to a coppice of trees on the cusp of where the formal gardens end, and the wilder land takes over. She is in her early 20s with auburn hair and green eyes that explore Poppy's face when she explains that she and her mother are friends of Sebastian's. Poppy sits down next to her on the grass. How long have you and Jasper been together? She says. A few months. We met in Winchester. We're both in the choir in the Minster. Did you know his sister? She didn't like me, says Lottie. Did she tell you that? Poppy looks concerned. Just her behaviour, a rich girl thing. Protective of anyone near her family. You like Jasper, though, says Poppy. He's different, more normal. Sebastian seems pretty well adjusted too. He's always covering things up, says Lottie. Tell me about Jasper. After their father died, Jasper took on the mantle of looking after their mother, she begins. He's the younger brother, the middle child. He couldn't be the head of the family like Sebastian, and he couldn't be the baby like Rosalind. That's something she played on all the time, pretending to be helpless. Does Jasper work? He likes to think he runs the farmland here on the estate, but there's a farm manager who really does it. You're very objective about your own boyfriend, says Poppy. I try to remain at arm's length to the family. I don't want to get pulled into their fantasy Ashbourne life, where everything is protected and funded. They don't live in the real world, if I'm honest. They don't realise that, of course. But I liked Jasper before he told me about all of this place and brought me here. I hang on to that version of him, the version I first saw before I knew his context. What about their mother? What's she like? Lottie breaks a piece of grass and sucks one end as she constructs her response. There are two Darcy Ashbournes, she says. One is quiet and intelligent, sensitive to the needs of people around her, not wanting to impose her views on others, and overall, happy. Poppy waits for the other half of this treatise. The other Darcy is obsessive and controlling, scared of change, and ready to do anything to get her way. Her money from birth has allowed her to be either and both of these women as she chooses. The privilege of the wealthy is not what people think, says Lottie. It's not to be able to buy big houses and yachts. It's the privilege to act in whatever way you see fit and know that there'll be no consequences of the damage you cause or the laws that you break. Money solves it all. For Darcy Ashbourne. It sounds like you don't like her, says Poppy. Know thine enemy, says Lottie. A young man appears around the tree line, and Lottie's attention is diverted. Have you met David? She says to Poppy, before he arrives near them, and before he can hear their conversation. Rosalind's chap, or ex-chap now really. His passport to access this land disappeared in that accident. David, how are you? She is suddenly different when she calls to him. The girls stand up and Lottie introduces Poppy. Then she says she needs to go and find Jasper. So Lottie walks away, leaving Poppy and David near the water. Do you know the estate? He says, and she shakes her head. So they set off across the Ashbourne acreage and follow a long and slow route in knee-high grassland, 100 metres from the house. He has very dark brown hair, with honest and pale grey eyes. Do you want to talk about Rosalind? Says Poppy. He smiles. Actually, I do, and you're the first to ask. Everyone assumes I don't want to. Tell me about her, then. She wanted to use her money to make the world a better place, he says. Give me an example, says Poppy. She used to give the staff here cash handouts. Because? They had less money than she did, says David. Did they ask for the money? No, nothing like that. She liked to surprise them. Did she give a lot of her inheritance away? Quite a bit, says David. Did she give you money? He nods vigorously. Yeah, she bought me a car. She was generous. Tell me if you think this is too soon to discuss, says Poppy. But what do you think happened when she had the accident? I'd just seen her, he says. We'd had lunch in the pub that's on the edge of the estate over there, about a mile away. He nods in the direction that he's talking about. She'd been drinking, you mean? Rosalind didn't drink alcohol. Did anything unusual happen at the pub? Says Poppy. We argued a bit. He looks sad at the thought. What about? Her brother telling her what to do. Which brother? Sebastian, says David. Jasper wouldn't tell anyone what to do. What was Sebastian telling her to do? End her relationship with me, actually, he says. Did she say why? He thought I was a gold digger. And are you? He frowns at her. You're very direct. I know, says Poppy. So are you a gold digger? Of course not, I've got money. Did Sebastian not know that you have money? Is that why he was trying to split you up? You'll have to ask him, says David. In the house, Sebastian has found his brother Jasper, who is sitting in their father's study on the ground floor, and he introduces Olivia to him. Sebastian and Olivia had agreed a plan that he would need to go and make a call, and so leave her alone with Jasper. After Sebastian has gone, the younger brother waves his hand vaguely towards a leather-upholstered chair near him, and she sits. How's your mother? She says. It must be difficult after losing her husband, and now a child. She didn't like Dad, he says. That was no loss. But losing a child is dreadful, says Olivia, sidestepping the topic of his parents, as she needs to talk about him. What about you? Are you missing your sister? I was just getting used to her deciding about her own life, he says. She was 21 in May, so could do whatever she liked suddenly. It had caused some friction because Mother and I run the place here. We're in charge. Sebastian left us to go to London, so he doesn't care. Only I stayed. Rosalind still lived here, didn't she? Says Olivia. Her boyfriend David was trying to get her to move away and leave us alone again like Dad and Sebastian did. Olivia can see that he's still mourning the loss of his sibling. I didn't mean to pry, Jasper. It's a sensitive time for everyone. Why are you here? He says. Sebastian's a friend. He told us about your sister, and he suggested we come down for a day to support him. We? He says. My daughter is here too. Jasper inspects Olivia's clothes. Are you and Sebastian more than friends? He says. Not at all. People can't just be part of our world, you know. You have to earn membership. David was pushy. He's leaving soon anyway, says Jasper, so it's immaterial. I've heard of Sir John Cairns, who runs the Ashbourne Family Trust, she says. Very respected and reliable. He's a good person to have steering the ship in a storm, and it's fortunate that it's the trust that controls the allocation of funds at a time like this, as he'll be scrupulously objective. She smiles at him, but he doesn't return it. Mother trusts him, so I do too. He's close to her, is he? Providing good support? What are you implying? That his role is to help her make decisions as the head of the family, and smooth over choppy waters. He doesn't decide. Jasper is suddenly louder. We decide. He's just a functionary. The trust takes precedence over the individual members of the family, says Olivia. Sebastian showed me the deeds. It's designed for continuity, to avoid rogue people in one generation frittering away the capital on nonsense. Who's this? Says a woman from the doorway. They both turn to see Darcy Ashbourne. Her blonde hair is tied back, and her blue eyes survey the scene before her. The mother walks into the study, and Olivia stands. I'm Olivia Street, Mrs. Ashbourne. Sebastian invited me and my daughter down here for today. I worked for him in London, and we became friends. Darcy doesn't respond, but she walks to a tall side table with a cut glass decanter and glasses on it, and she pours herself a Glenmorangie. What do you want? She says, after drinking some of her whiskey. Are you in a relationship with him? I'm a lawyer and provide legal advice to him, as and when he needs it. And he needs it now, does he? Darcy is utterly still as she watches, and Olivia decides to turn up the heat. He thinks that Rosalind's accident may have been deliberate. Of the hundreds of people that Olivia has interviewed and cross-examined, this woman is a master of self-control. There are no clues in the muscles of her face as to what she is thinking. Jasper, leave us, she says. The son frowns at first, then stands in silence and walks out. Darcy moves to a pair of green leather sofas under the study window. She sits and indicates the other sofa for Olivia. "I like bright people," begins the matriarch. "I can see you are one. Sebastian has always had good taste in the people who he trusts. Who does he think killed her?" "He doesn't, yet." "Yet? You're here to find out, are you?" Olivia nods. "Tell me what you think," she says. "Do you think it was just a tragic accident?" "Rosalind ruffled feathers," says Darcy. "That's not the way the family works." "I've read the trust deeds. The money's not really owned by the family at all, is it? You're just given access to it for a generation." "People come and go, but the family lives on," says Darcy. "Tell me about your husband," says Olivia. "In what sense?" "Did he step out of line and had to be stopped?" "He wasn't important," says Darcy. "I needed to have children to continue the line. He was a useful functionary. He did his job." "Was his death an accident?" says Olivia. "What are you suggesting, that my family kills off people who are no longer of value?" Olivia smiles. "Tell me about your sons." "Sebastian wants to be his father. He still thinks a man should be head of a family. He doesn't know that his father was never the head of this family, because he wasn't an Ashbourne." Darcy drinks some more whiskey. "Jasper will never amount to anything. He plays about on the farmland, living a lie, jealous of everyone, protective of me because he gets all of his status by being close to me." "Poppy and David have reached the farm on the estate. That's the man who killed her," he says, nodding towards a farmhand cleaning a threshing machine in one of the barns. "I'm going to talk to him," says Poppy. "You go. I can't bring myself to." David walks away, back towards the house, in the far distance. The man looks scared when Poppy walks over to him. "What's your name?" she says. "I'm from the house." "Robert," he says. His fair hair ruffles slightly in the summer breeze, and he squints his brown eyes. "You worked here long?" she says. 2 years. "You like it?" "I'm moving on." He's curt. "When?" "Next week I'm gone." "Did you know Rosalind?" "Saw her about the place," says Robert. "Are you leaving because of the accident?" she says, and he nods. "You shouldn't feel bad. Accidents happen," says Poppy, and she can see a look in his eyes that she's seen somewhere before, on another witness's face. "What happened on that day?" she says. "Normal." "Take me through it. What time did you start?" 7 as usual. I live in a cottage down the way." He nods his head to the left. "I had the bottom fields to mow for silage, so I was doing that all morning." "You have to cross over the lane to get to those bottom fields, do you?" she says. "Hence you being in the road." "I didn't see her coming." His eyes drop to the ground. "You're lying to me, Robert," she says. "You did see her coming, didn't you? What really happened? Didn't you like her?" His eyes look sad now.
"Or you did like her, and you asked her out and she said no?"
"Nothing like that," he says.
"What was it like then?"
"I'm going away. They said it would be forgotten."
"Who's they?"
"The family." Poppy narrows her eyes.
"The family said they'd cover up what happened?"
"They don't want fuss. They paid me to go."
"They paid you to go?"
says Poppy.
"Or they paid you to kill?"
"I'm not saying any more." Robert turns away and walks off into the farmyard. Poppy pulls out her phone and calls her mother to flag what Robert has said. In the study, Olivia can feel her mobile ringing in her pocket. "Excuse me, Mrs. Ashbourne, I need to get this," she says, and she walks out of the study to talk to her daughter. After 2 minutes, Olivia reappears. She opens the door and leaves it open, then sits back down opposite Darcy. "Mrs. Ashbourne," she begins, "my daughter has had a conversation with one of your farm workers, the man who was driving the tractor, in fact, on the day of the accident. I want to put something to you about what happened on that day." Darcy sits in the sunlight that cuts across the room. "I think the farm worker was paid to hit your daughter's car by someone in the family. I can only conjecture that Rosalind needed to be stopped for some reason," she says. "Are you aware of anything connected to what I've just said?"
"It was Jasper," says Darcy. "Mother, you promised to look after me."
Jasper's voice rolls in from the doorway. Then he rushes up to his mother.
"You sinned, Jasper. You must pay," she says. "You told me she needed to be controlled."
He's still nearly shouting.
"I did it for you, for the family. She would have given all the money away. We'd have been damaged." "You didn't do it for me, Jasper. You're your own man. You're responsible." Jasper clings onto his mother on the seat, and Darcy looks across at Olivia. "You'd better call your police," she says. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.